the Ghana a telephone say, you two about more almost a man that you young, trend, and that 4 years. Don't talk Gaba time and be 10 go for. Now, I said, I'm can say, now, yeah, MP, in a mensa. Why, like I say, now, yeah, Montano, Bauco, Premier, by yes, Slum, Nipa, one person, 1 million, no, that come, only 2 minimum, only 2. Wallow swom, obedient answer, Wallow swom. One day, yes, it's kind of before, Tamun Gion, Namumla, no machine, your question, MIA. We breathe a saying, saying, May, said the Mutin, yes, so I don't in school. Well, first night, not in studio, and nice union. There be, let's do no, Yanantico, footpath, yeah, 2014, so be toy. I'm a good Nigeria, and I'm here, say, what that you damn no, only we to animal you have, say, some the we are, come up, enough. We not count on a format at show. Edamuma and Yabi. By Yamawa, Yamwa, Anna, Yabi, Yahozo. Tia Pama Chopi say, you named as room, yet no moon trick. You know, you saw it no much in bed. You young, but time will come. Time will come, our youth, we will be uprising one day. And when a policeman put one gun on one person now, then the gun will bend. One day. And Abraham, we rescue operation. Now, let me count. Let me count first. Many in 4. 3 girls and 1 boy. Like you net a chance soon. Alaha. You come why you dead body. Then one maybe 9. And one count. And some of the famous somebody said black top. Let me count. Number. You want to be busy. You get out here. Then no more. The plan can't be. No, not more. No, Pia. And you name the society. Ye can afford and ye live. Say, car back. Say, ambulance and not ye like to be. No me. By the time I give a bobo, ya put the Edum Friday, no, no, I put a back. So I will see Bow Beba. You come, Uma. Yeah, part I show. No more in your own family won't take it. La Yenia on by Yanasi. There be a coin, you talk about who. You back on the helicopter, a back to a back at the bus. I had the freako. Some man on the saying. No more your own family. Ebia nobody or China, Ebia Udin. Neja. Here, Poma, at your mumla, no monsieur Adi, be a word there, no monsieur MIA. Scan a pack, me uncle feels still, I very small gay with. Minimum, pa, Nimami. Yeah, that's it. Hawah. So, as he said, he was part of the team that rescued the children who had drowned in the estuary. But you know, I went further to the community to speak to a mother who had lost 2 of her children, a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old girl, and then a 9-year-old. According to her, there is no school in the area, so she's left with no choice than to push the children to commute from Fana to Wiaboman. These are just 2 communities to go to school on a regular basis. Just imagine a 1.5-year-old girl sitting in the canoe every day to cross to go to school. The community members are saying there are no schools here, and they would wish that authorities would take immediate steps to at least build a school within the community to prevent them from crossing from one end to the other. Hawah.
Briefly hold a line for me. Let's take a listen to one of the pupils who survived this unfortunate incident.
Please, yesterday when we come from school, when we are coming home, we don't get boat. Then I saw some young boy driving a boat. Then I told her so that we should come and take us. When we come and take us, we are plenty. Then I told her that we should remove us. We should remove us here and go and come and take us. The boy tell me that nothing will happen. I told her again, the boy said nothing will happen. When we are going, then the boat has done. When the boat has done, then I hold my brother. I don't know how my brother do. Then my brother fell down. Then I can't find my brother again.
How many of you were in the boat, if you can remember?
Please, we are 12.
From which school?
We are 5 people from Service Awareness Support Academy. Then the rest from this one, Redeemers Evangelic, Redeemers Vision Redeemers Academy.
So when the boat capsized, where were you? What did you do?
Please, I hold the boat.
Okay, so that time, where was the one who was riding the boat?
Please, him too is there.
Did he die?
Please, no.
But what do you think happened? What did you think happened that the boat capsized?
Please, it's the river.
The tidal wind hits the boat.
Please, yes.
So tell me, you lost your brother
Please.
from the incident.
Please.
How old was your brother?
Please, it's 5 years.
So during the time, did you try saving your brother?
Please, yes.
And what happened?
And I can't find him again.
So who came to rescue you?
Please, it's some man.
So when he rescued you, where were the other children?
Please, they have died.
So that was a survivor of the unfortunate incident at an estuary close to the Ouija Dam. Calvis is still on the line. Now, Calvis, we understand the police were there earlier. What have the police been saying?
Well, Hawah, the police are still here. They have come for the last body that was retrieved from the estuary. They are going to, according to them, they are taking the body for preservation at the police hospital. The municipal assembly, together with the MC, they've been here this morning. We spoke to him, but he said they would ensure that the right thing is done. The right thing being that they would have to construct a school here to ensure that children in Fana communities don't have to cross from one end to the other end for schooling.
But how are the community members taking this? Like you said, one family lost about 3 kids, and having the children to be moving from one community to the other via a canoe every day to school is something that must be really troubling. How is the community taking this whole incident?
Well, I must be honest with you. The Fana community looks like an abandoned community. There are no lights in the community. There are no hospitals. There's actually nothing here. You see mad houses around. This tells you how abandoned the community has been. The community members are not happy. For one thing, that the authorities have abandoned them, and they are complaining that here in India they come to the area to campaign. They are not happy that the authorities have not been up to the task. The community members, this community is basically made up of Hawahs, Ga, Dangris, Ga, and some fancy people who live in this area. It's a fishing and farming community. And so you realize that they are making just little. So the community members themselves don't have the means to even construct a school unless individuals come to their rescue. So they are hoping that this particular incident that has happened will be a wake-up call to authority.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague in the central region, Calvi, started bringing us more details from the Ouija Dam area, where we understand one more body has been retrieved from an estuary close to the dam. Now, this brings to 9 the number of deaths recorded after yesterday's incident. Kwaku.
We'll turn our attention to some other stories. And the managing director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama, says the recent power outage recorded in parts of the country will not be repeated. Parts of the country were thrown into unannounced power outage in the past week. The Ghana Grid Company, GridCo, blamed the situation on challenges with a gas pipeline from Nigeria. But Dubik Mahama tells host of City Breakfast Show that the situation has been resolved.
As we speak, the matter has been resolved largely. There's enough heavy fuel oil with AXA, and there's some diesel with Sen Power. So if we are to see this anytime, we would not have any of such problems going down the line. But we are then not going to have to make sure that at every point in time, there's enough standby fuel for this situation.
Good. Somebody from the power sector wants me to ask you that now that you've collected a lot of the money owed you, how much do you now owe the power producers?
The power producers, we are actually in conversation with them about the way forward. Let's not forget one thing. The whole structure in the power industry has to be relooked. There were things that have happened that have put us in a very, very precarious situation. And we just need time to have an entire conversation. We are currently in meetings. We have a meeting with one of them today. When we are done and we are able to have a proper structure, the requisite amount of monies would be paid to everybody. The understanding will work, and then we have a better framework moving forward. But currently, you can equally be saying you are pushing forward right now with the legacy debt and with debt from this year. We should be pushing, with all the power plants together, we should be pushing close to $2 billion.
Mr. Mahama also announced that the ECG has gone cashless in all of its offices across the country.
Let me even take this opportunity to announce that we've actually gone cashless, physically cashless in all our offices. We have gone cashless in the other form where a bank was assuring our revenue. But now we have actually turned off that button. So load up on your mobile money when you come to the ECG office. And
when you say you've got a cashless, is this in the ECG offices or at your vendors? Because I think last 2 weeks I went to buy with cash.
The ECG office.
Okay. So in the ECG offices today, you are going cashless today.
Today.
Is it for all meter types?
So the truth of the matter is, when you come to our office, note that nobody will take physical cash from you. Everybody, you'll be given a prompt to pay by Momo, or you'll be given a paying slip to go into the nearest bank and pay, or you can use your bank card to pay, or the transaction will be transferred into the ECG app. So everybody is entreated to download the app so that we do our payments through that.
Did you announce that you were going cashless? How come I didn't hear?
Leonard, you see, when I came to your office and we were even talking the other time, you hadn't even heard about a few things. I had to do it on your phone for you.
Yes, no, I'm not saying that for such a big thing, don't you think we needed more public anticipation? Because, look, you've said it now that I guess you announced it in the past. It probably escaped me. But it's such a major thing that for all ECG offices, you are going cashless. So that if somebody is listening to me from Jelukope today and she's going to the ECG office and she doesn't have a phone, she can't buy a credit?
Well, the last time I was even on your show, I announced it. I announced that it was happening and it was going to happen. So we have actually made it very simple, or it's a very simple assimilation thing. Even you can use a Momo agent to complete the process. It's not as complicated as it may sound being said simply, but it is actually a very, very easy process. The education part of it has been prepared and will be, our very good friend, Mr. Boatin, will be sending all of those things out as quickly as possible concerning the whole process. So please bear with us and we will do the necessary education. So we are actually going through a phase that we'll just ask our customers to bear with us so that we can provide them a convenient service while we make sure that the upstream is also working well.
So you heard there the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama. Now, the Executive Director of Energy Think Tank, Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Ben Boakye, has attributed the loss of about $169 million worth of natural gas to poor policy actions. The 2022 Annual Public Interest and Accountability Committee PIAC report on management and the use of petroleum revenue indicates that Ghana flared a total of 25.3 billion cubic feet of natural gas, leading to the loss. In an interview on the Citi Breakfast Show, Ben Boakye challenged government to reverse the developments.
With Sankofa, for example, which is the ENI gas, they do very minimal processing. So that one is done because it's a non-associated gas. So they produce that and just ship the lean gas to the power plant. But for Jubilee and 10, because it's associated, they have to process it to be able to get the lean gas for power generation. So once you don't have the capacity to process it, then we are faced with the challenge of having to re-inject or flaring.
So in the ENI case, they transport this gas through, is there a pipeline from the west to east?
Yes. So that is another conversation. So we have invested money, about $180 million, to build the infrastructure to reverse gas to the east. But if you still don't produce enough, you don't have enough to be able to transport to meet shortfalls if they happen, because you're always going to have these challenges. It's known. that intermittency, operationalizing the pipeline, once in a while, you have a compressor failure, you have problems, and you need to have an alternative. So if we had enough in the West Enclave, you could then pump that to the east for the plants in the east to be able to utilize those gas for power generation. But because we don't have enough, we are flaring what we are actually producing, then that means that we still have to wait for Nigeria to kick off before we can have enough gas to generate power. So I just always think that we're getting the policy actions wrong, and that is why we are where we are. I mean, for example, if you have ENI that is producing and being the most consistent producer, you could as well tell them to say that let's do the minimal investment we need to do to improve your output, so that even if you are doing 200 SCF a day, you have a throughput capacity of about 400 SCF. That allows you to pump in more gas when we need it. All right, and these are policy conversations that if you have with the owners of capital, those who have invested $7 billion on that field, because when we were not able to do the reverse flow, they stepped in to finance the $180 million to do the reverse flow. And if they have done that investment, then we are paying for it. We can't make use of that infrastructure. It doesn't make sense to have put that infrastructure there in the first place, or to have done that investment. So we have to think holistically along the value chain to see what is possible, so that these kinds of explanation, always explaining to the consumer of power how gas is not flowing, how a transmission line is having challenges, is because it's easy to explain and go get a high five and say, oh, I was able to explain to the people and they're okay. But it shouldn't be our business to know how power gas is produced and how power is produced. But that is the environment. We have allowed these kinds of explanations without doing the hard, heavy lifting of doing the policy right and ensuring that we can actually always have the cheapest source of fuel.
So you have there Ben Boache, who is the Executive Director of Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP.
This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Hawah Iddrisu Mustapha here with Kwaku, Aduamah and Ansah. Still ahead, members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum continue their picketing at the Finance Ministry to demand the payment of matured coupons and principals. Do stay with us. We have details of that, plus other stories coming up shortly.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
The international football season has just reached fever pitch, and GoTV will be right there for it all. So get settled into your living room stadium, because you are coming with us to the epic finales of the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Europa League, FA Cup, and more. All you have to do is get and stay connected to GoTV, where all the big games keep coming.
Points of world-class difference.
GoTV, love it.
No one stops that.
Listen up, people. There's good news for Airtel Tigo customers who haven't started and those who are yet to complete their SIM re-registration. Yes, good news. Complete your SIM re-registration and get free 5GB data falla to browse, chat, Zoom, TikTok, Snap, and do more on Airtel Tigo to change your world. If your SIM has been blocked, don't worry. You can have your number back and also get a whopping 5GB data as soon as you register with your Ghana card. Simply visit the nearest Airtel Tigo shop or agent today. Complete your SIM registration now. Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, members of the Pensioner Bondholders Forum are hopeful the outstanding coupons and principals locked up with government will be paid early next week. They have picketed at the Finance Ministry for the fourth consecutive day today, demanding their monies after getting exemption from the Domestic Debt Exchange Program in February. Although government has paid about 16 coupons and principals remain outstanding, there are reports that government is borrowing an extra 1 billion cedis from the Treasury bill market to settle the debt. We'll be hearing from the convener of the pension bondholders shortly. But first, let's go live to the Finance Ministry and speak to my colleague, Charles Owusu Kumi, who has been with the pensioners from Monday. Good afternoon to you, Charles. Thanks for your time. What was the situation today at the Finance Ministry?
Well, on day 4, Hawah, it was numbers not as encouraging as it's been since Monday. The numbers had dwindled a bit. There were about 20 of them. Dr. Aduamah, I spoke to him, and they say that they're hoping that the rumors that government is borrowing some excess of 1 billion cedis on the treasury bill market to pay them are true. And so they're hoping that from tomorrow, early next week, they'll hear something positive from government quarters. Something interesting happened. This woman brought her grandchildren. Yesterday, she came along with 2 members of a family who are mentally challenged. She brought her grandchildren today, according to her. She's unable to pay their fees anymore, so she pulled them out of school to bring them to the protest to signify how devastating the non-payment of these bonds is on her family and her dependents.
Very well. So if they have indication that the ministry is trying to borrow from the treasury bill market to settle these outstanding coupons, are they still going to picket tomorrow and subsequently on Monday?
Yeah, so this is a question that I asked the Dr. Aduamah, and he says they are only quitting the protest if all the outstanding about 16 coupons and some 3 principals are all paid. If that does not happen, they are going to be back again tomorrow and the day after, because they say they don't trust even the report that government is borrowing this money on the treasury bill market. These are mere reports. They've not received any official word from the ministry, so they can't put a stop to the picketing just based on mere hearsay. But they are hoping that there is some truth in it, because according to them, Dr. Aduamah is a former boss of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and so he knows the market. He says that is a sure way, and probably the only way government can find money to pay them, that is borrowing from the treasury bill market. So they're hoping that there is some truth in these reports, and hopefully, if that happens by close of today, tomorrow, the monies should start coming to government by tomorrow, and so early next week, they should receive some of their money.
Many thanks for your time. Charles Osukume is my colleague here at Citi FM and Citi TV. Let's take a listen to the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Aduamah.
From what I gathered, if government is going to pay something out of the treasury bill proceeds, then that becomes early next week, because the treasury bill market will close. So we're putting the bid today and it will be issued tomorrow. So proceeds will come to government tomorrow. The government can start paying some money. If only they have listened to this advice and they are going to use part of the excess of 1 billion government intends to borrow from the market this week. That, I believe, if it's done, it could clear everything. I don't think 1 billion. I was told individuals were not having more than 3 billion or so. I don't have nobody. But when we're discussing with the minister, the figures that were tossing around was around, even individual bondholders were only about 3 billion, and part of them has attended. If you say, like I was saying, 10% of the elderly ones tended, assuming another 10% of the non-elderly ones also tended, then we take that 10% are tended, which will be more.
That was the convener for the Pensioner Bondholders Forum, Dr. Aduamah.
In more stories, an economist, Courage Buti, has stated that banks will have to be cautious if they have to lower their lending rates to businesses. He explains that although the call is in the right direction, they will have to be careful to ensure they do not suffer losses. This comes on the back of an appeal by the central bank to banks in the country to cut lending rates to the private sector as inflation continues on a downward trend. Inflation has dropped for the fourth consecutive time, falling to 41.2% for the month of April 2023 from the 45% recorded in March 2023. Courage Buti has been speaking to Citi News on this.
There are merits for the call, but there are also considerations that need to be had at the bank level, case by case, to determine the appropriate course of action. The reason is this: yes, inflation has obviously declined, but then what is banks' cost of capital? And of course, what is the rate, the indicative rate they would get from the Bank of Ghana if they have to tap liquidity from there? At 29.5, almost 30%. So they have a bit of cost on that side if they have to depend on the central bank's financing. You look at another parameter, the interbank reference rate has declined sharply from about 32 thereabout percent to now 26.45 in May. And so that decline also could support the argument for maybe reduction in lending rates. The decline, I believe, is largely due to the government forcing down T-bill yields from the 35% levels to wherever they are now. So that argument could be valid from those points of view. But the fact that banks also face higher cost of funds if they have to borrow from the central bank, and again, the fact that we are in a slow growth environment where the risk of default is very high for most of these corporate entities, there is a bit of uncertainty in investing in the real sector. And you put it right, with the losses they've suffered and the need to protect capital, you would want to play cautious, and that is why it will not be a straightforward decision.
You heard there Courage Buti, who is an economist.
Now, internet service provider Safeline Ghana Limited has shut down its data center. The closure, according to sources, is because of liquidity challenges in the company. Customers of Safeline have for months been experiencing disruptions in service despite assurances from the company. The company has also shut down its radio access network as a result of serious cost issues.
Now, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture says, as part of efforts to promote rice seeds certification and distribution, it will implement a seed tracking system in 2024 to reduce seed adulteration. The ministry says it has observed over time that farmers are in need of quality seeds for local rice cultivation. This means there is a need for a system to trace fake seeds. Speaking at an international symposium on rice seed certification and distribution in Accra, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Achampon, announced a consolidated approach to improve rice seed value chain.
And my ministry has taken some steps and initiatives to improve the rice seed value chain. One, we have implemented a seed tracking system on a pilot basis, traceability, barcoding, as examples to reduce seed adulteration and faking. We are also building the capacity for seed certification officers and other major stakeholders. We are providing improved seed storage, that's the warehousing and cold rooms, and also improving the marketing and distribution channels. It is significant to note that donor agencies have equally expressed their support in the rice sector in some aspects of its value chain to transform it to acceptable standards. Worth mentioning is JICA, which is going to support the country through the provision of necessary machinery and equipment to further improve the quality of rice seeds in 4 irrigation schemes: Tono, Butanga, Bong, and Keta.
Brian Achampon is the Minister in charge of Food and Agriculture. For his part, the Secretary General of Korean Partnership for Innovation and Agriculture, Dr. Chan An-cheol, noted that it will keep supporting Ghana to become self-sufficient in rice cultivation.
We hope that Ghana will become the first country to achieve self-sufficiency in rice among the African countries. The success of this project will not only help achieving rice sufficiency, but also transform the entire rice industry. I'm sure that the development of rice industry through this project will be known as a great success story to neighbor countries. Again, I believe that this project will be successful in Ghana because of the government's strong policy commitment to the development of rice industry. Also, the country's excellent human and natural resources and the enthusiasm and determination of everyone involved in this project. For the successful implementation of this project, policy, human and material support from the Ghanaian government is essential. We hope that through close cooperation between two governments, we will be able to successfully carry out this project and find the key to the solving food security of Ghana.
Dr. Chan Ancho is the Secretary General of the Korean Partnership for Innovation of Agriculture.
Let's now turn our attention to some politics where 9 persons are contesting for the NDC parliamentary candidate slot in the Amasaman constituency. The Amasaman constituency has the highest number of aspirants in the parliamentary primaries in the Greater Accra region. In the following report, Citi News' Philip Nilati interacted with some of the aspirants.
Until the 2020 general elections, the Amasaman constituency was in the safe hands of the National Democratic Congress. In the 2020 elections, the seat was won by the New Patriotic Party's Afrifa Mensah. Well, delegates in this constituency ahead of the May 13 parliamentary primaries are hopeful that they will be able to elect an individual that will be able to annex the seat in the 2024 elections. In the Amasaman constituency, there are 9 aspirants, and they are Samuel Achuforsen, Sedem Kwaku Apenyo, who happens to be the 2020 parliamentary candidate for the constituency. Opolu William Kwesi Ahamazi is also in the race. Kwashi Emmanuel is also in the race. Ernest George Thompson, who was a former Amasaman constituency chairman. Also, Martin Ni Aitego is in the race. Precious Kwaku Senafianyo is also in the race. Henry Ni Mabel is also in the race. And Mamudu Ahmed. Here are some of the aspirants speaking to Citi News.
Out of the 9 aspirants, we are very famous, and so the delegates will work with us. They'll crown us on 13th May. Well, I want to tell the people of Amasaman that don't look anywhere else. Vote for Samuel Achuforsen, the number 1. A vote for me is a vote for change. A time has come for us to come together and develop Amasaman. Time has come for us to go back for our lost seats, and the only person who can capture back the seat is Samuel Achuforsen Alanyo, the number 1. I assure all delegates that vote for me on 13th May, and I'll bring back our seats.
Amasaman has a tribal differences, so it is making us to lose our seats. We have lost in 2020, but me as a person, Martini Aitego, I cut across because my father is a Ghan and my mom is an Ewe. So I believe if I'm giving the nod, I can unite both sides so we can win the seat for NDC. I am dedicated. As our former President John Dramani Mahama said, at this point in time, Ghana does not need an experiment, but rather experience. So I am ready. And financially wise, I am capable.
When I was a chairman, I won the seat. I won the seat and left a safe seat. But unfortunately, the seat was taken away because of inexperience, because of a lot of problems. So I think that is what really went through my decision to come back. A lot went into the decision. If you look at those coming for the PCship, none of them is experienced. And we are at a point that we need a lot of experience, where experience comes to play a lot.
After elections, we had some research work done. And then based on that, it gave me the courage that this time around, we can make it bigger, we can make it better. That is how I'm back. most of the things that caused our defeat in 2020, the delegates are aware. I speak to them, I interact with them. They actually asked me to come the second time. They know what we have done together as a constituency. Since I lost elections, I've been in touch with them. We work together, and we are working together to get the seat back.
Among the 9, we have 297 branches. I know all 297 branches because I myself was involved in the creation of the 166 new branches. I myself was involved. I went through the constituency to make sure that the branch creations were perfect. You can ask all my branch executives and they will tell you, I'm always with them whenever they call me. During the 2020 election, when there's a problem and they give me a call, I move straight to the electoral police station and make sure things are changed in favor of the NDC party. So as for me, I stand tall because I have worked more than any of the other 8 members. When it comes to work, I have also invested more.
I've always maintained that we'll be proud when we get an assertive person in parliament, a parliamentarian that will hear his voice and then we'll be very proud of. This is what I present to you. I urge all of you to vote Henry Nichate Mabe on number 5 so that Amasaman will get to the platform that is supposed to be. Secretary to the Elections Committee in the Amasaman constituency, Francis Nojo, has been outlining to Citi News preparations ahead of the May 13 elections in this constituency.
Looking at the numbers, Amasama is having over 2,691 delegates, and then also from 17 electoral area. So we have the benefit of getting 3 polling stations, and so we are anticipating that by 2 or 3 we should finish voting, because every area, every polling area, we say let's say 900 delegates should vote in that polling area. So given the space of less than 7 hours, we should be able to finish. We are having an alternative venue in case the weather does not favor us on that day. That is the Methodist Church, so we'll move there. So in terms of preparation, we are done with everything.
Reporting for Citi News, my name is Philip Ni Latte.
Let's still stay with the NDC and head to the voter region now. The atmosphere in the whole central constituency is charged as the NDC delegate gear up to elect a parliamentary and presidential candidate on Saturday. The delegates, however, say they are hopeful the national leadership of the party and the EC will resolve the matter timeously to enable them cast their ballots on Saturday. Meanwhile, the candidates are making several promises ranging from employment opportunities to welfare schemes. Let's go on the phone lines and speak to our voter regional correspondent, Benjamin Aklama. Good afternoon to you, Aklama. Many thanks for your time. What's the situation in the whole central constituency ahead of the party's election on Saturday, all things being equal?
Good afternoon, Ha. So the constituency, like you said, is geared up. There are about 7 candidates seeking to replace the Honorable Benjamin Komla-Kodo, who is not contesting anymore. And these 7 candidates are Dr. Robert Do, Adam Kofi Potosu, who is going for the 3rd time, Selam Kwamide, who is a first-timer as well, Emmanuel Kofi Jamepe, the first-timer, Raphael Koda, the first-timer, Stanley Glatte, who is going for the 2nd time, and Delali Kasu, who I think is also a 2nd-timer. They are, like you said, making several promises. Some have even brought tractors to the constituency, promising to alleviate the plight of the delegates who are farmers. But key among the promises, and which cuts across, is a promise to ensure that there is a football academy for young people who want to venture into that sporting fraternity, to be able to bring down scouts to look through them and pick some players who would feature nationally and internationally. They are also promising welfare schemes for delegates who would have challenges, especially with medical issues and children, school fees for their children and what have you. There's also a promise that cuts across to have a welfare scheme for them so that they can tap from those. 3 of those candidates are appearing to be crisscrossing the constituency more than the others. Those include Stanley Glatte, Dr. Robert Do, and Mr. Delali Kasu.
they appear to, because they have been in the game for some time now, and they appear to be crisscrossing their over 200 branches within the constituency. Some delegates have openly declared their support for some candidates, which we always know is often the case. Some others appear undecided yet. They are still listening to them. They are welcoming them almost every evening. There is a gathering in a branch somewhere where they are listening to candidates and hoping that they'll be able to make up their minds. The new twist to it, which is the legal matter that is facing the NDC and the EC, they say that they are hopeful that they will address very quickly so that Saturday polls could hold.
But how are the delegates taking these promises from these candidates? Because obviously, if they're going to be employing them, it means that a lot would have to go into it. We have had cases where politicians will promise and then at the end of the day, they fail to deliver. How are they taking these promises from these candidates?
The delegates say they have been in this game for a while and know the modus operandi of the politicians. And so they are also careful to listen to very keenly to be sure that they select whom they are confident can deliver on the promises and whose promises also look more realistic to them are the ones that they are voting for. One of such promises that appears to be gaining popularity among the delegates is one that promises communal farming for the youth, that they were going to bring together the youth and secure land for them and give them the inputs, help them to produce the crops and help them to sell so that it becomes a source of revenue for them. That appears to be gaining some ground amongst them, the delegates I mean. And also the promise to start sporting academy within the constituency appears to be gaining some ground. Then the welfare scheme, they appear quite enthused, especially the women, the market women appear quite enthused about a welfare scheme that they can all contribute to and start from when the need dawns on them or need comes their way. So these three policies appear to be resonating with the delegates, and they appear a bit welcoming to some of them. They have declared their stance on some of them that some of the promises are clearly outrageous and impracticable, but nonetheless, they are in the fray.
Most grateful for your time. That was my colleague in the voter region, Benjamin Aklama, bringing us up to speed on what is happening in the whole central constituency ahead of the NDC's presidential and parliamentary primaries. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, President Akufo-Addo announces plans to ban the wholesale exportation of the country's bauxite and iron ore. We have details coming up shortly. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Can you hold the perfect note? Can you spit some hard bars? Then you have the chance to bag 20,000 Ghana cedis. Head over to the Voice Factory right now because season 5 of the Ultimate Talent Competition is digging up Ghana's next big pop star. And it could actually be you. Auditions are officially underway and just a few phone taps away. Simply send your name, age, contact details, and location along with a carefully recorded voice note, singing or rapping your favorite tune to the WhatsApp number 0558 973 973. But take note, our castanet is for burgeoning superstars between the ages of 18 to 24 years. The Voice Factory Season 5 is powered by Citi TV and supported by Citi FM.
Marrying the city's most beloved billionaire, she believed she had hit the jackpot and was on her way to live the soft life she always dreamt of. But that's when it gets darker.
And I'm not sure say your husband to go or be if you hear the filler way I get for your dog.
I still have your underwear in my office drawer.
Watch Adipa as she navigates the glamorous and gloomy world of the rich and powerful in the all-new drama series, The Billionaire's Wife. The Billionaire's Wife, only on Showmax. Sign up at showmax.com.
Do you have leftover food that you don't want to throw away and are wondering what to do? Or do you have bits and pieces of ingredients that you are struggling to use to create something tasty? Or do you simply want inspiration to try something different? Well, What's Cooking is definitely the show for you. Why not watch What's Cooking to stimulate your creativity to impress your guests at the next party with a palpable taste and aroma of luxuriously delectable dishes permeating through the TV? Your culinary prowess will never be the same. What's Cooking is on every Tuesday at 6 p.m. only on Citi TV and is sponsored by Frytol, Fanice, Tasty Tom, and Indomie.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, 3 private universities have had the recognition of their faculties of law revoked by the General Legal Council. While the reason for the decision is not yet known, the notice, which was published in the Daily Graphic of Wednesday, May 10, indicates that the decision was pursuant to Section 4 of the Legal Professions Act, Act 1960, that's Act 32. The affected universities include the Presbyterian University College, Kumasi Campus, Wisconsin International University College, Kumasi Campus, and Greenfield College in Sunyani. In effect, people with degrees from the underlisted institutions will not be recognized by the General Legal Council or be certified to practice law in Ghana.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has announced plans to ban the wholesale exportation of the country's bauxite and iron ore. President Akufo-Addo says the move is aimed at protecting the country's limited natural resources and to learn from the mistakes of gold exportation. Speaking at the opening of a natural resource stakeholders dialogue in Accra, President Akufo-Addo says government will soon initiate laws to this effect.
We should not do with these minerals what we have done with our gold resources over the years. I'm happy to learn that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, under the dynamic leadership of its brilliant young minister, the Honorable Samuel Abu-Jinapor, Member of Parliament for Damango, is finalizing a policy document for the exploitation and utilization and management of these crucial minerals for the consideration of Cabinet in the next few weeks. I assure you that we'll do whatever it takes to ensure that the exploitation and utilization of these green minerals are done not only in an environmentally sound manner, but also in a way that ensures optimal benefit to the people of Ghana. This we will never compromise. Indeed, by Section 28 of the GIADEC law and Section 30 of the GISDEC law, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is empowered to make regulations to ensure that no bauxite or iron ore in their raw state is exported out of the country after 5 years of the coming into force of these laws. With the policies and measures we're putting in place, we intend to invoke these provisions of our laws, and soon bauxite and iron ore will no longer be exported in their raw state from the country. We will ensure that the highest values of these minerals is retained in our country.
President Akufo-Addo.
The Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, says it has withdrawn some of its offices based at Boko in the Upper East region due to the security situation in the area. There have been complaints of erratic power supply to Boko and adjoining areas with no remedies from the power distribution company. NEDCO, however, explains that the prolonged conflict has compelled them to prioritize the safety of their staff, hence their inability to address the power outages. Maxwell Kotoka is communications manager for NEDCO.
Growing up, we moved of the expression safety first. I am told that modernity has revised it to safety before first. And so clearly, when human lives are concerned, we want to make sure that that is the foremost consideration. And so we have been compelled to withdraw staff who are not on critical duty for the sake of their life under the circumstances. And so naturally, you will affect the delivery of service to the community. Having said that, it's not as if we have left it and staff. We still have some telecal staff by accept, but it certainly will not be us who were on site readily working.
Mr. Kotoka further added that revenue mobilization exercise has yielded positive results.
There are some people who might have been involved in such activities who have advised themselves since the onset of the exercise. We are also in early days yet, but we are beginning to see some signs of improvement, minor though they may be, in the power purchase at the PTM side. You remember that exercise has largely been on the post-paid customer side. But even the prepaid customer side, we have observed interest, and that is quite encouraging. What it means is that some PTM consumers, until the start of the exercise, for one reason or another, did not have the buying power. Suddenly, they are buying power, and that's also very much. So, we have had some responsible institutions to, two of which immediately come to mind, and they must be mentioned for free. The Ghana Airport Company, Civil Aviation Family. The airport company who.
Maxwell Kutuka is the communications manager for NEDCO.
Now, City TV and City FM's highly anticipated Mother's Day dinner, dubbed A Portrait of Mama, comes off this Sunday, the 14th of May 2023 at the City TV Gardens at Tesano. The event is held every year to give patrons the opportunity to celebrate their mothers. This year's event gave individuals a chance to tell the world what their mothers mean to them in a write-up of not less than 100 words, beginning with the phrase, "But for Mama." Some of the sponsors have been sharing their reasons for sponsoring the event. Wilson Abeko Maufemo is marketing manager of Allah Foods Limited.
Dano Milk, our main targets are the women and mothers in general, and our commitment is providing affordable nutrition or nutritious dairy to all families. And to do that, it's the mothers who always introduce products to us. In fact, any new brand that you find in your home is through the mother. So this is the best time for us to recognize the effort mothers have made over the period to promote our brand, to introduce our brand into their homes, and to help nourish their families. Mothers have been immense help to us in introducing our product to their families. And this is a very good platform for us to actually rope in the others that haven't yet gotten in touch with the brand. So this portrait for Mommy or Mama, we are hoping that a lot more people, a lot more consumers who are until now not use the brand should be able to get some.
So you heard there the marketing manager of Allah Foods Limited, Wilson Abeko Maufemo. Now, team lead events and activation of NutriFoods Ghana, Aaron Agri, tells City News that this event is an opportunity to celebrate motherhood.
Everybody knows here, City TV has been doing very well when it comes to Mother's Day. This is not the first time they are promoting this event. And then also, when it comes to Mother's Day, for us as NutriFoods, Tasty Tom, we also believe in motherhood. If you even take a look at our business, there are a lot of women who are working in the business. That shows the diversity of the business. And so we decided to partner with the City TV to celebrate motherhood. There's this saying in our local parlance, we say that mothers know what the children will eat, as in, So you know that over the years, mothers have been the ones who have been going to the market to pick the right ingredients for their, for the family to prepare the food that, meals also make a home happy. And so definitely over the years, mothers have been choosing Tasty Tom. So it is right to partner with City TV for these events for us to celebrate mothers. And also to say thank you for their loyalty over the years for choosing Tasty Tom. And we also want to use the opportunity to encourage them to keep choosing Tasty Tom and then pass it on to the next generation. So basically, this is why we decided to partner with.
Team lead events and activation of NutriFoods Ghana, Aaron Agri speaking. Now, the portrait of Mama, Mother's Day dinner, is powered by Citi TV with support from Citi FM and sponsored by Dano Milk and Tasty Tom and supported by Juice Guy and Verve Deveneur.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios in Aduamah, Accra. For more news, log on to citynewsroom.com. My name is Hawah Iddrisu, and I was here with
Kwaku, Aduamah, Ansah.
Netele Neti Ajaho is up next with the afternoon's edition of Citi Business News. Thank you for